All right, guys, so in this video here, we're gonna talk about how to live your best life, okay? And we're gonna talk about detachment and letting go. So this is something I've touched on in some of my previous videos, but I'm gonna get deeper into it today so we can have an open discussion about why this is so important for your overall happiness and well-being, and also why it's so important to be able to attract the things you want in your life, okay? So detachment, what does this even mean, okay? I've made a video, I don't remember when it was, probably a few months ago. No, not a few months ago, it was actually like at least a year ago. And it was called "The Basis of All Human Suffering Is," and I think I left it blank. But the answer was, the basis of all human suffering is attachment, okay? Whether that be attachment to things, whether that be attachment to people, whether that be attachment to a certain idea you have in your head of the way things should be, or whatever it is. This is any kind of attachment. It could be an emotional attachment. It can be an idealization. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just like your identity is attached to a certain something, okay? And the problem with this is that we're usually attaching to something that we don't have, or that we have, but we're fixated on something that we want to be a little bit different. So we're insisting on it to be different in our minds. We keep pushing and thinking that the more we think about this something, the more we strategize about it, the more we obsess about it, the more we get attached to it, we think that's gonna come and enter our lives. But that could not be further from the truth, okay? Because when you attach to something, you're energetically pushing it away, because you have this like desperate, needy energy towards something, because you're so attached to it, you want it so bad that you end up pushing it away. You see, it's only when you let go of this attachment, that these things that you wanted in your life might come just free-flowing to you. Because now you've let go of the attachment. You're not so focused on the outcome. You're just more free and more relaxed, okay? So I want to give you guys an example of detachment. Like, what does this even mean, right? What's an example of something you can detach from? Let's say there's a girl that you really like, okay? This is for the guys watching the channel. Let's say, or you can be a girl watching the channel. Let's say there's a guy you really like. It doesn't matter, either way, right? So I'm gonna focus on the guy's perspective. There's a girl you really like, say, and you fixate on this girl, and you're like, oh, my life would be so much better if I had this girl in my life, right? You're like, oh, everything would be so much better if this girl was in my life, if she was my girlfriend, whatever it may be, right? You might really, 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 really strongly believe that. And you might attach to this idea where you're just like, you want it to happen so bad that what you're really doing is pushing it away, okay? Because they can feel that energy off you. It's like this desperate, needy, disgusting, repelling kind of energy. And it's the same thing. Let's say like you're so attached to the idea of getting wealthy, okay? You're so fixated on it. You're dreaming about it, you're thinking about it, you're obsessing about it, which sometimes is good. Some of that can be a good thing sometimes, because it might help you, take more action, but it's completely unnecessary to obsess about it in that way, because you don't need to. You see, the more you kind of attach yourself to something, the more emotional pain you're gonna feel. Because let's go back to the first example. Let's say like there's this girl, maybe she doesn't like you. and you're fixated on her. You're like, I want this so bad. And what's happening now, without you even realizing it, is you're getting so attached. And what's the problem with that? So when you're so attached to something, the main issue is it causes suffering, like Buddha said. So how does it cause suffering? So let's say you're attached to this girl, she doesn't like you, okay? And you're fixated on the idea of like having a relationship with this girl or being with this girl or whatever it may be. And what's happening is now this woman has complete control over your emotional well-being, okay? If things are looking up with her, you'll feel good. If things are a little bit bad, you're gonna feel bad. So you're gonna go on a roller coaster ride of emotions because you're so attached to this thing, okay? It's the same thing with wealth. And wealth is the one thing that I've had an attachment to in my past. And I've had such an attachment to getting rich and being wealthy. And some of you might say like, yeah, well, Jack, it kind of worked for you, but I didn't need to put myself through that emotional hardship over the years. Like I could have done it without being attached, with letting go and with being detached. It would have been a much easier ride. I had an emotional roller coaster of a ride, on my come up with poker and things like that, because if you're so attached to getting rich, right? And you're so attached to wealth, you're so attached to money, then when you have like a bad losing day or a bad losing month, you feel it so much because you're just like, oh, my entire identity is going down with me. It feels so bad, right? It feels so bad because now anytime you attach to, whether it be money or a girl or a guy, whatever it may be, anytime you attach your mind and your identity to something, that thing has emotional power over you. And it's not just like, it's a strong pull. You're gonna feel it. That thing is gonna have emotional power over you, and you're not gonna have any say unless you begin to detach yourself a little bit, pull back a little bit, detach, and just take it easy, okay? Just say to yourself, I'm already whole and complete. I don't need this certain somebody or this certain thing, okay? Or this certain idea or this certain place I want to live or whatever you're attached to. You don't need that certain thing to feel better about yourself and to be happy, because you should already be happy from within, right? Your default should be happiness, okay? You should have a default of happiness. And in anything else that, comes about in your life, you want to be able to enjoy it, appreciate it, but don't make that a part of your identity, right? Don't make that a part of your emotional well-being where, this certain something has so much control over you, so much power, and you don't even realize it. It's the sickest part. You won't even realize it until until you let go, and then you're like, oh, until you let go and you're like, wow, that feels so good, right? It feels so good to just let it go and relax, because we're so insistent on it. That's what we're doing when we're attaching to something. We're literally clawing and trying to grab it and, make it or force it into our reality. And when you're, chasing and trying to grab something, naturally that thing you're chasing and trying to grab is going to run away. Okay. So that's the main thing I want to get across in this video. You don't want to be so insistent and attached on a certain something or idea or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Everyone has their own thing that they may or may not be attached to. But you definitely want to get to a point where you can have intention, right? Let's say you have the intention to get wealthy, the intention to make money, but you can easily just pull back and just relax, because whether you make this certain amount of money or whether you want to be with that girl, you want to be with whatever it may be, you're fine and happy regardless, okay? And anything that we manifest in our external world, anything is just an absolute bonus, because we have to be so grateful for who we are as humans, what we bring to the table, right? So grateful for ourselves as default. I said this in an earlier video a long time ago when I said, you wouldn't sell your arms. I assume you wouldn't, because I wouldn't. You wouldn't sell your arms, one arm, even or two arms, for $1 billion, right? You wouldn't sell, if I told you I can chop off both your arms, right? And I'll give you $2 billion, you'd probably give me a very firm no, okay? And that's implying that you're already a multi-billionaire. You'll already have so much value as is, right? Cut off your legs, another multi-billion. We're like, just us in the physical flesh, we're worth so much more than what we actually think we are, right? Your value is so much higher than you think it is. And you don't want to drive yourself crazy with these external pursuits, okay? You can have intention, you can go for the things that you want, but you don't want to obsess and fixate over these things and like, I need this to be happy, or else, I can't survive, or whatever it may be. So yeah, that's really what I wanted to share with you guys. I want to get you guys in the habit of, detaching and letting go, because this is what actually has changed my life in a big, big way. Over the last 7 or 8 years, I've been slowly learning more and more how to do this. And you just kind of realize the separation between you and that thing. And then you realize that sometimes we're chasing a certain something that we think is going to bring us this immense amount of happiness, or this is exactly what we need, and like everything's going to be all right. And then you get that certain something and you still kind of feel the same type of way. Like there's not much that actually changed, because nothing from your internal has changed, okay? You can give, I promise you right now, think about this example. You can give the most miserable guy in the world $100 million. He'll be happy for a little while, but then afterwards, he's gonna be even more depressed and more miserable. And I'll tell you why. Some of you guys might be like, no, that's not true. It is true. I'm gonna tell you why. So at first, it might even be a couple months, maybe even 3, 4, 5, 6 months, where he's thrilled about it, he's living a good life. And then something's gonna hit him, and it's gonna hit him hard. And what's gonna hit him is that, wait a second, I just got $100 million handed to me on a silver platter, and I'm still not happy. I'm still miserable, right? And then now he's gonna be like, wow, there's nothing that can change my misery, right? This is funny because Tony Robbins always talks about this. He says, the more money we make, all it does is amplify our character. If we're an asshole, now we have more money to be an asshole with. If we're generous, now we're more generous, right? So whatever you are, if you're a sweet person, you're even sweeter with money. If you're a dick, you're even more of a dick when you have money, okay? When you get wealthier and wealthier. So it just amplifies your personality. We're getting sidetracked here, but just to kind of go with the theme of this video here, just learn to let go and detach yourself from things. If there's something you're attached to right now, in this video, you're gonna feel a lot better. I'm telling you, whatever that thing is, hold it in your mind and just like detach from it completely, okay? Just relax, put your hands up and be like, I gotta stop insisting on this thing. Just let go and trust. Let go and trust that what you want in your life, you're gonna manifest. And you don't have to necessarily try that hard or insist that hard to bring it into your life. You have to trust that you will manifest it. But in the process of manifesting, let go, be relaxed, and realize that you're whole and complete and happy just the way you are.